I'll never forget that night. It's burned into my mind like a nightmare that won't let go. Every time I close my eyes, I feel the weight of it, the darkness, the fear. It was supposed to be a normal drive, nothing more than a long trip on Highway 57, a road I'd driven dozens of times before, but that night, something felt off. The moon hung low in the sky, casting shadows that seemed too long, too sharp. The silence was absolute, like the world had stopped breathing. No other cars, no distant sound of traffic, just me, the road, and the heavy stillness that made everything feel wrong. I was hours into the drive. The road stretched out in front of me, endless and black, and then I saw it. A figure, standing on the side of the road, perfectly still. At first I thought it was a hitchhiker, but as I got closer, I saw something that made my stomach twist, in a way I can't explain. It wasn't moving, not even a breath, just standing there, staring into the darkness. I didn't want to stop, I didn't want to look, but curiosity got the best of me. I slowed down, just a little, trying to get a better look. And the moment I passed it, everything changed. The air, it shifted, a cold so deep, so sudden, that it felt like it came from the very core of the earth. It pressed in on me. My skin went cold, but worse, my bones felt it. It was like something wasn't right. The cold shouldn't have been there, not in the middle of summer. I glanced in my rearview mirror, expecting to see the road stretching behind me. But there was nothing, just the emptiness of the highway. I tried to shake it off, but the feeling, it wouldn't leave. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. I kept telling myself, it was nothing. I was just tired, that's all. A few miles down the road, the headlights flickered, once, then twice. The engine sputtered. And then it died. Silence. Complete silence. Except for the pounding of my heart in my ears. My car was dead on the side of the road. I got out, hoping to fix it. But the moment I stepped outside, I heard it. At first, I thought it was just the wind, or maybe a loose piece of metal dragging across the road. But no, it wasn't that. It was a sound that made my blood run cold. It was a dragging sound, slow, heavy, like something being pulled across the asphalt. But there was nothing there. Nothing. No car, no animal. Just the dark road, stretching out into nothingness. And then I saw it, the figure. It wasn't standing still anymore. It was moving, slowly, deliberately, walking toward me. Its head tilted slightly, like it was studying me, but I couldn't see its face. The darkness seemed to swallow everything. It was just there, moving closer. My heart was in my throat. I didn't think. I didn't stop to wonder what it was. I just ran. I slammed the door shut. My hands were shaking as I turned the key. The engine roared to life. I floored the gas pedal, tires screeching as I sped off into the night. But no matter how fast I drove, the feeling never went away. The dragging sound, soft, persistent. It followed me. Every time I glanced in the rearview mirror, nothing was there. The road was empty, but I knew something was there. Something was following me. Finally, I saw the lights of a town in the distance. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I just drove straight through, past the lights, until the road was dark again. But when I pulled into my motel room and closed the door behind me, I heard it. That dragging sound. Faint, but still there. It was outside my window. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that figure, the way it stood there, the way it moved. I thought it was just a nightmare, but the sound, the dragging sound, it wouldn't leave. Even now, sometimes, when I'm alone, I swear I can hear it. I'll never drive down that highway again, and I'll never forget the feeling of something just out of sight, watching, waiting. Whatever was out there, it's still out there. Have you ever had that feeling? The one where you know something isn't right, but you can't explain it? It's that sick feeling in your stomach, that icy chill creeping up your spine, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't shake it off. Well, I learned the hard way that sometimes it's not just your imagination. Sometimes something is wrong. And I'm about to tell you the story of the night I came face to face with something I couldn't understand. It all started on a quiet, lonely highway, well past midnight. I just finished a business trip and, honestly, I was exhausted. I should have pulled into a motel, taken a nap. But I had this crazy urge to get home fast. Maybe it was impatience, maybe it was stupidity. But either way, I ended up driving down that road in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing but darkness. Hours passed, no cars, no signs of life. The only thing that kept me company was the static on the radio, a reminder of how alone I really was. It felt like I was the last person on Earth. And then I saw it, a shadow. At first I thought it was just a trick of the headlights, maybe a tree, but no. It was standing on the side of the road. A person, maybe? I slowed down, trying to make sense of it. But as I passed, I saw him clearly. He was standing perfectly still, swaying slightly in the wind, like a marionette, forgotten by its puppeteer. He wore a ragged, dark jacket, and his face was turned down, hidden by the collar. My skin crawled. Something wasn't right about him, but I told myself, it's fine, it's just a guy, probably walking. So I kept driving. Just another odd moment in the middle of nowhere, right? But then, I glanced in the rearview mirror. He was still there, not swaying anymore, no. Now he was standing still, watching me. I couldn't see his face. Or rather, I could, but it was wrong. It was like his face was shifting, twisting, like the features weren't quite human. It was a blur, a distortion, something that shouldn't be. My heart slammed into my chest. I hit the gas. My hands were shaking on the wheel, but it was like the road stretched on forever. My headlights flickered in and out. The only sound now, the tires humming against the pavement. Out of nowhere, a car, another car, coming straight at me. It was fast, too fast, I mean. There was no way this car was just driving normally. It was barreling toward me at breakneck speed, no sign of slowing down, not even a flicker of brake lights. I slammed on the brakes, swerving hard to the right. My heart was in my throat, and I felt the car zoom past me. I couldn't look at the driver. I didn't even want to. I just held on, hands white-knuckling the wheel, heart racing, eyes fixed straight ahead. It was gone, vanished. No taillights, no exit, just nothing. Like it had never been there. I thought maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me, the exhaustion catching up. I tried to shake it off. A few miles later, I saw a rest stop sign. I pulled in. I needed to breathe, to calm down. It was deserted. Not a single car in the lot. Just me, the wind, and the silence. As I stepped out of my car, I felt it again. The eyes on me. I turned around and there he was, the man from the road. The same tattered jacket, the same wrong face. Only now he was holding something. A knife. My blood ran cold. He was just standing there, staring at me from the far end of the parking lot, the blade glinting under the dim light of the street lamps. And then, he started walking toward me. My legs froze. I couldn't move, couldn't even breathe. He moved slow, deliberate, like a predator stalking its prey. I should have run, I should have screamed, but I couldn't. I just stood there, my body refusing to listen. And then I heard it, a car. Engine revving in the distance. The headlights appeared, cutting through the darkness. The man froze. He turned and vanished into the shadows. Just like that. A car drove past, a normal sedan. A tired-looking man behind the wheel, completely oblivious to what had just happened. I wanted to shout, to warn him, but I didn't. I couldn't. I just climbed back into my car and locked the doors, shaking uncontrollably. I didn't wait for that car to leave. I didn't wait for anything. I floored the gas pedal and sped out of that lot faster than I've ever driven in my life. I didn't look back. I couldn't. But deep down, I knew. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't done with me. It was still out there. I've never taken that route again, never driven through that highway at night. And I don't think I ever will. But sometimes, I wonder if I really escaped, or if something was just waiting for me to let my guard down. You know, I still don't know what I encountered that night. A ghost, a maniac, a figment of my imagination. I don't know. All I can tell you is this. If you're ever driving alone at night and you see a figure standing by the side of the road, don't stop. Don't look back. Just keep driving. Because you don't know what's out there or who's following you. Just remember, if you ever see something in your rearview mirror that isn't supposed to be there, you might not be alone after all. What if I told you, there's a place where the veil between life and death is so thin, it's almost non-existent. A place where the lost still wander, searching for something or someone forever. I don't usually talk about this night, not because I'm worried you won't believe me, but because every time I do, it feels like she's still out there, watching, waiting. But tonight, I have to share it. Maybe then, it'll finally leave me alone. It was late autumn. The rain was relentless, hammering the windshield like tiny fists. I couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The GPS? Completely useless. It glitched out somewhere near the old back roads. I should have turned back. I should have just admitted I was lost, but I didn't. And then, through the rain, I saw it. A faint blue light, drifting ahead. Like a flame, struggling to survive. It wasn't headlights, it wasn't lightning, it moved, slowly, deliberately, almost as if it was beckoning me against every shred of common sense. I followed it. The blue light led me to a bridge, an old bridge. Locals called it Mourner's Bridge. You've heard the stories, haven't you? The ones about the mother searching for her child. I froze. My flashlight flickered, and that's when I saw her. She was standing under the bridge, motionless. Her back was to me. Her voice came soft at first, barely audible over the rain. "Where's my child? Have you seen my child?" I don't know why, but I stepped closer to her. And that's when I saw it, buried in the mud near her feet, an old revolver, cracked, rusted, like it had been there for decades. I looked at the gun, and then she turned. Oh God, her face wasn't right. "You took my child," she hissed. Her voice, it wasn't just her voice, it came from everywhere. The bridge, the ground, the darkness itself. And then, I heard it, the sound of wheels creaking, wooden growing louder, closer. And the light, the blue light, it exploded, blinding me. When I opened my eyes, she was gone. I ran to my car, shaking, but as I reached for my keys, I saw her in the mirror, sitting in the back seat. She was cradling something small, rocking back and forth. "Where's my child? Where's my child?" I thought I was safe, but when I reached into my pocket, my fingers wrapped around something cold, metal, the revolver. I threw it out the window, but deep down I knew. This wasn't over. Every time it rains, I hear her voice, whispering, watching. And then, last night, I saw the blue light outside my window, flickering, waiting. I stepped outside, and I swear, she smiled. And now, she's found you.